Rolling? All right. So Jen Cooke in the house. We're at TRVFIT Pinckney on a snowy Monday morning. Thanks for making the time, Jen.
You bet. Anytime for Tyler, right?
Excited to jam. One of my favorite stories, facility-wise.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know you, let's just start at the beginning. How did you start in fitness? How did you get into fitness?
Oh, I was a college athlete, so that's really kind of where it all kind of stemmed from. But got married.
What'd you play?
I was a pole vaulter. So one of the very first pole vaulters in Michigan. Got to plug that.
Let's
so
go.
Female pole vaulters, yeah. And now my daughter's doing it, which is really cool. But did college, really kind of got burnt out with fitness because I was a college athlete, working, grinding it out. Got married and then kind of like completely fell off of my fitness journey, and then started having kids, all that kind of stuff. And my husband and I would kind of like have a conflict of me not taking care of myself. So after my second, I knew I had to kind of start making a change, and that's when I found Zumba. So I started doing the whole dance fitness, and then that instructor was actually moving out to California. I took over her classes, and it just kind of spiraled from there. I just started doing more group coaching and really kind of fell in love with actually just helping people, and that's where I kind of figured out that's where I needed to be. So
how long ago did you start with Zumba and start coaching and diving in?
Gotcha. Well, that was back in 2010, I think. Yeah, it must have been like around that time that I started doing that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then I found TRVFIT coming to town, and I was like, shoot, like I'm driving all these other places to like go coach.
Yeah.
Pinckney was my hometown. I'm like, well, I should check out TRVFIT. They're opening up a spot, and then that's when I called you up and was like, hey, are you looking for coaches? And you told me to come to a class, and I had only been to one other TRVFIT class before, probably about a year prior to that. And I didn't have to work out there because I was already coaching so many times, like group coaching or group fitness coaching, like 14 classes a week. So I didn't need another membership. I was doing fine on my own. But I loved the whole concept of what TRVFIT was doing. I just didn't need it in my life at that point. And then I just really kind of like clung to TRVFIT.
Yeah, well, let's dive into this story.
Right.
This is my favorite story, and it was painful in some ways, but things were a lot different back in the day.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with your perspective on how it started, and then if anything I can plug in too. But how did the transition going from you initially raised your hand, hey, TRVFIT was coming to town, I'm interested in being a part of it, to ownership?
Okay, so obviously I went to that first class, and then you were like, well, you got to check out with Bonnie because she was going to be the owner at Pinckney. So Bonnie and I met at Panera Bread, sat for lunch. We instantly connected. I mean, anybody can really kind of connect with Bonnie at the very first time. And she's like, hey, are you interested in being my head coach? I'm like, sure. Like, I didn't know what I was even getting myself into at that point because I'd only been to like 2 classes at that point with TRVFIT. But I'm kind of one of those people like, keep your doors open for any kind of opportunity and go after it if you can. And then I went to the TRVFIT coaches course and did that. And that was a big day because everyone was sitting down. There's probably 30 of us in that class. And at the very end, you asked everybody, well, tell us your TRVFIT story. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, like, I don't have one. I went to 2 classes. And everybody's got, like, this whole, like, story testimony. And I'm like, well, my future would be, and I think I just pulled it out of somewhere, like, I want to own my gym someday. I've never thought of that before. And
before you said that, you never thought about that?
No. Never.
Oh, I love this even more now. Right? I didn't know that part.
And so I went home, and then I think it was like 4 hours later you called me up. And you were like, hey, Jen, like, how serious were you about owning a gym someday? I'm like, I don't know, maybe kind of serious. And you're like, well, there's an opportunity in Pinckney because, Bonnie was filling in because of whatever instances kind of happened with the ownership here. And they're like, and you were like, well, would you entertain that? This was December. We were going to Florida for that winter break. And I go to my husband after that call. I'm like, I just kind of met Tyler like for an hour one time. I met with Bonnie for like an hour. I'm like,
all the red flags.
Now they're like asking me if I want to own a TRVFIT. I'm like, can you believe this guy? And he's like, well, Jen, why not? Like, let's look at it. I'm like,
Shout out, Dan.
Really?
Yeah.
He's always been very encouraging of me finding like fitness. Obviously, he really wants me to take care of myself. And he knew that I should like do my own thing. Be like an entrepreneur. I never believed that. I was a stay-at-home mom. That's what I was kind of happy with. And he's like, no, let's take a look at that and see what it looks like. And obviously we sat. and talked through what it would take to open up Pinckney. We didn't have a space yet. That was another thing that we had to kind of get through. But that was kind of like the first initial, like, wow, I'm going to do this. And I never thought I would ever do anything like this. And now I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many pieces of that. First off, it's incredible to hear maybe some of your initial thoughts of, I just know you as the boss, the legend, Jenn Cooke, that multi-location owner, super mom, coach, all of the above. And I remember, initially things were a little bit different back in the day. And the initial franchisee that, kind of reserved Pinckney had some, life stuff happened where she transitioned out. But we pre-sold. We had a huge interest in this location.
Very huge.
So it was pre-sold, pretty much took care of most of the expenses up front. So I remember Bonnie, when the initial franchisee, it wasn't a good fit, life happened. Bonnie's like, I want it. I'm in. And I'm like, okay. And then Bonnie had more discussions kind of with her husband. Timing wasn't right. Bonnie had her plate full at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. Well, I'll just run it as HQ. But I know how powerful it is to have someone in the community that believes in it, that's present, that kind of thing. Right. But we had the location already fully pre-sold. So I remember you said that at the coach's course, and you made a great impression. We've had a few introductory type conversations, but at that point I was getting ready just to kind of open it up, as an HQ location. And I saw passion and drive there. It's interesting that you had never thought about owning a gym prior.
I know. I'm a fake it till you make it kind of a gal, and I think I always try to like put my best foot forward usually, right? And we obviously hit it off well. So
and that's part of it, and that's bravery too. But that's so crazy. So then you feel like it's a good fit. We kind of move forward, and then it got a little chaotic.
Then it got a little spicy there because we really didn't have I started driving around town to find a location because we had you had a couple places in mind, but didn't really know where we were going to land, right?
Yeah. Well, to preference this, we had a signed lease with a landlord in town who did not do his due diligence. So this is that was another crazy story. No shot at this individual, but we literally had a signed lease. We thought we had a home. So at that point. I don't know if that was before or after you got involved.
It might have been after, because I don't think when I took it, we had anything. And then I started driving around to find places, because I know Pinckney really well, and there's not a whole lot to kind of go into easily. And I will emphasize easily because it's still not very easy. But, it was worth it. So I drove by this place, and they had a sign out in front, and I just called the crazy number on there, and then we got to talking with our landlord. That's our current landlord.
But don't skip over a huge part that points to how you are in building community, which is a big testament because obviously that lease fell through. The initial one, we were shopping spaces. I remember driving around through town. We were trying to, find one. But in the meantime, it was here.
It was here in the middle space. Yes. We had our grand opening in January. We quickly actually got shut down because of issues with the space not being able to be rented out yet. We actually had to have a parking lot completed. And we get so excited. I got so excited, and things just kind of fell off, and we had to actually not open that Monday after I had 60 people show up for our grand opening that weekend. That was a tough week.
Yeah, and I know you don't mind being transparent, but things were a lot different back in the day, and a lot of crazy, unfortunate things that happened here that never happened anywhere else. But I remember we were literally doing the grand opening day here, keeping an eye out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for cops to come shut it down because of occupancy, and the city was really trying to get the parking lot done and strong arm it. And they did show up literally at the grand opening.
We're ticket like that. I was like, shoot.
Unreal. Yeah, unreal. Yeah. No shot there. But then what happened? Because you're resilient.
So now we had to completely shut down, and now Dan and I are like, well, what do we do? Where do we open? We didn't know how long the process was going to take with our landlord and this village to work whatever they needed to work out. I couldn't really do much, so I had to figure out what we did. So we were actually currently living in Whispering Pines in our own house, and my husband's an avid golfer, and he remembered that the golf course they used to have a fitness room in their basement. And I'm like, well, shoot, I'll go over there and ask them. And sure enough, they had a space, and they had mirrors and everything like that. I think it was probably, 800 square feet. It was tiny, but it worked. We had it, and it was unfortunate because I had to pay per hour we used for that space. So I had to be really careful on how many classes I offered, because I had a decent membership at that point. And you got to coach. You got to have classes for people who are joining your thing. Luckily, I was able to coach majority of the classes, but we stayed there for 10 months.
I forgot it was that long.
That long, right? Yeah. And until they got this all figured out, and we were supposed to be in that middle space, we decided to move over to this end unit. Parking lot still wasn't done yet, but they had worked out some type of agreement to get it done. Yeah. And we were able to finally move in November of 2018. Is that right? I think so. March of 2018. November 2018. That's right, I think.
Yeah.
All these dates. It's like hard to know like when is Pinckney's true anniversary sometimes.
You get all the memories they kind of start, and then a year out, you're finally in the space too.
Right.
Well, it's cool too, and I want to preference because shout out to you and your community and what you built, super special here. But like, I think a lot of people, if they're hearing golf club, they're hearing fitness center.
Right.
It was a room.
It was a room.
And it wasn't the most glamorous thing by any means. It was small.
It was small, yeah.
And you built the most amazing community from day one.
We had about 40 members once we kind of got back in, we were sitting around 40, I think, in that small area.
Yeah.
Like, that was a small space.
This is small. You barely probably fit that many in there. Like you couldn't have taken on. I mean, that was a hard part too, right? Is you're kind of open, but you can't really accept any new members. These were literally pre-sold members at the time.
Yeah, it was hard to get new people in. You're like, I'm in a basement. Come join us. We have fun.
Oh, goodness.
It was a weird thing to kind of sell to people, but we did. Yeah. And I think big thing was our members still loved what we were doing, and that was what sold more people coming in, and their friends came because I couldn't advertise that we were in a basement. It has to be word of mouth at that point.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of like an underground fight club at the
time.
It
was. Pretty much. You kind of felt like that. Yeah.
And it was cool, though, because we kind of chatted before we were jamming a little bit before we hopped on. But a good testament is like Endeavor season's coming up.
Yeah.
Right? And you gave me a cool little nugget before we started.
Right. Well, so I opened there in March in the basement with the 30, 40 people that we had. And you were like, hey, Jen, guess what? We have Endeavor starting up. I didn't even know what Endeavor was because I was not a TRVFIT person. And I'm like, well, what is Endeavor? You're like, well, it's a 12-week program. It's a team thing. And I'm like, I just convinced these people to come and show up to a basement, not even know really what TRVFIT was. And now you want me to get them to sign up for a 12-week program team that they don't even know each other yet. And you're like, yeah, do it, Jen. They'll do it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And they did. Like I had about 90% of my people sign up for that, and they rocked it. And that really, I think, established like this huge community feel that we have because of those founding people all did Endeavor together. Those friendships are still here today. And it's really kind of cool to see that pan out, but it was a hard sell.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about all the brand enrollment, how just the gifting that you have and the amazing community that you have here. So that's, kudos to that. So
apparently I'm very believable. I don't know. That's a good skill of mine.
You're trustworthy. That's good. Yeah.
Right.
So eventually they got this beautiful space done for you back here.
Yeah.
10 months later or something like
10 months later.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And you transitioned to a multi-location owner. Mm-hmm. You have really big projects going on at both locations, Pinckney and Fowlerville. Yeah. We were just chatting about the building that you purchased across the street here in Pinckney. Mm-hmm. So
we always with the issues that we've had, we kind of always knew we want to always be the owner of our own place because then we can control what happens in these four walls that we want to do. Mm-hmm. And that was just a really kind of cool opportunity. We tried to actually purchase this space, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out to be able to do that. Well, another property across the street opened up. It was actually prior to COVID that it actually was first available. We were really growing at that point, and I didn't know if we could actually fit in our space over there with the amount of members that we had at that point. So we took a pause on it. Good thing, because COVID hit, and that was kind of like a stress in itself just to kind of keep the doors open. So that was really good timing for us. And then once kind of like, I guess we did purchase it during COVID, I think. still.
The memory popped up not too long ago.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Gosh, probably it was like about a year or so ago, almost a year and a half ago. And again, just having the opportunity, having another location, kind of seeing the space laid out differently, I could envision being over there with the membership that I want to achieve. And it's going to be a really cool space over there once we get over there.
Yeah.
So more exciting. Trials over there, but that's okay. We're going to get through it. We got to just push on forward.
Yeah, you're definitely at the forefront of interesting scenarios that we've never dealt with any other cities and townships.
We not plan enough or what, but
no, there's some. I think there's some, some unique city things going on. But then let's chat about Fowlerville, because you have
a big
huge development going on downtown Fowlerville. So what are you working on over there?
So my husband and I together created another entity, and it's called Cooke Capital. And that is a company that we are going to build a 10,000 square foot space. It's going to be mixed commercial and residential. So residential will be all on the main or on the second level. Commercial will have 2 to 3 tenants of commercial businesses down there. Obviously, TRVFIT will occupy a good portion of that bottom portion. And then we'll have a ADA accessible apartment on the main floor as well, which is really cool. Wow. But that space was vacant, grassland, for the last 20 years in Fowlerville. And it's been really welcoming with the community. They really are excited about having more businesses downtown, some residential options, brand new residential options coming into town. And the community itself over in TRVFIT are amazing. And so it's just fun to kind of bring something like that to a town like Fowlerville.
Yeah, how huge. Yeah. The renderings are beautiful.
Yes.
This isn't just a building. This is a beautiful building that you guys are putting up. And you showed me pictures before we hopped on.
Yeah.
Looks like the foundation's
there. Some brick walls are there. And I think we're just waiting on the concrete to cure, and then we'll start doing the steel, where they're really going to start seeing the form of that building, which will be really cool.
And what are you looking at for maybe an ETA date of
right now it's projected October of this year.
Wow.
So they're staying on track for the most part now. We're pretty much cruising. We've got through we had a lot of, again, crazy hurdles that we've kind of had to push through, a lot of learning stuff. But now I think we're really kind of rolling out, and weather should be getting better, which it won't slow down on stuff anymore, which the stuff that we're doing now, weather doesn't really factor into it anymore, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So huge testament to your and Dan's perseverance and resilience.
Right, a lot of risk involved, but we're excited for it. So
exciting. So kind of moving forward, where are you currently at? Like goal-wise, what are you excited for?
Yeah.
Obviously, we kind of chatted about maybe pieces of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, this is a good question because obviously I had 3 locations, Dexter, and we actually ended up closing that due to things that we could not have dreamt that was going to happen with COVID.
Very young club during COVID.
Yeah, it was a tough thing, but I learned a heck of a lot during that process, and really, what do I want to be as a gym owner? And was I really providing everything I wanted to for my members? And so it really kind of made me deep dive a little bit as to are my members getting the results that they wanted? Do they feel that sense of community? So it's really kind of made me kind of flip switches a little bit, because having 3 really as an owner, you get it, it spreads you very thin. And you got to manage that time and still have face here in each location. I really struggled with that. And so now, having Dexter closed, I've been able to spend a lot more time at Fowlerville for the past month. That's going to start shifting back over to Pinckney right now, which is I'm really excited for, and just getting back into meeting my members again. That's probably my favorite part, is sitting down with each brand new person walking through the door. I sit down with them, we do a consultation, I find out what their baseline goals are, and we're going to kind of figure out what their path forward is and how are they going to move ahead. And that to me is really kind of like I'm gearing towards is more member focused, 100%.
Love it.
Yeah.
It sounds like that fills your cup up back to his connection with your members.
It does. Yeah. And I think I was missing that for a long time because I felt there's a lot of stress in the last 2 years.
100%.
And so I kind of pulled away a little bit from my membership base. And now to kind of go back into that and really kind of reconnect with everybody, all my longtime members, I mean, they've been here. They are here, and that's why I'm still surviving, is because of them. And to have allowed that time away from them for so long wasn't good. And I'm kind of glad to finally get back into meeting everybody again and reconnecting those friendships.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. Huge testament. I think we can all resonate with that sometimes. Any gym owner that went through COVID, like you had multi-locations going through COVID, so
purchased a location during COVID too, right?
Oh my goodness, man, you did it all. Oh yeah, that was during that during COVID. So congratulations on that. That takes some real resilience and perseverance. And then I think it made us all. I can resonate in some other scenarios. It kind of made us all kind of take a step back and recenter on our core values and what really brought us life again after we kind of got beat up for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
And even during COVID, like just as owners of TRVFIT, we all kind of had to like band together because we were all like in the same kind of hardship. Like, what do we do? TRVFIT HQ like did a phenomenal job of like, how do we keep our members engaged? What are we going to roll out to them? And that helped us through a whole lot.
Thank you. Thank you for that. But there was a lot of effort on all ends. We were all just shooting shots.
We didn't know what to do.
Everybody's like, what are we doing? We're all just putting more stuff out. Yeah, this is Wild West. But deep admiration for everything you've done through that. And back to rebuilding now. I can tell, through conversation before, it sounds like a lot of new life brought in, excitement.
It is,
and you're building again.
And I feel like our gyms are very healthy right now, which I didn't feel like that for a little bit. Coming off of that COVID, we definitely had like a little bit of a drop of membership, like anybody would. And I feel better. Like I feel confident now. Like I don't feel like this huge weight on my shoulder. And but it feels good where I'm at right now, which I haven't had that feeling in a while.
Yeah. Awesome. So cool. So as we kind of move forward, let's start with current members. Like, what are we excited about? What are we ramping up for? Any war cries you want to go out to this community about what we're prepping for?
Right.
Anything like that?
Endeavor's coming around the corner, so that's definitely going to be a huge push, and I think it's going to be exciting this year. It's 6 weeks, right?
Yep.
So that's I think that's going to be a really good thing for a lot of the previous members that have done it before. They're going to really enjoy coming into that. I can't wait to bring. I have a lot of new members that don't even know what Endeavor is. So getting into them and letting them understand what Endeavor is, I can't wait to explore that because you see those people who are like never in a million years. I actually had a member out in Fowlerville who started her membership during Endeavor last year. And I had to talk with her and she was like, Jen, she's like, I came in for my first day with my husband and she's like, what the heck did we just get involved with? These people are doing these WODs and judging and everyone's cheering. And she's like, is this what we just signed up for? And now she would have never thought that she would ever sign up for a competition. Wow. Now she did the, what did we just do? Combine. She signed up for Combine, rocked it.
Let's go.
She did amazing.
What's
and
her name?
Christina Murray. Yeah.
Let's go, Christina.
Yeah, so she's already looking forward to Endeavor, which you would never have thought she would have done it. It's like she's like that person that people don't understand how achievable Endeavor it is. Yes. And just going through the process is in itself a huge thing, but like you can do it because you just got to move. Yeah. And there's all these different like categories that you can participate in, rad or raddest. If like you have to modify, there's some parameters around that, but just do it. And it's part of a team, which will even bring you into the community even more. Yeah. So that's a big one for you.
Huge pieces there. I think those are our biggest winners, right? Yeah. Of the real Endeavors, whatever, competition, but also the ones that are terrified of stepping up.
Right. And most of them are terrified,
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, there's a lot of new members across all locations. It's going to be their first year. So it's not this hardcore throwdown. There's a place for you to challenge yourself. For sure. Yeah. But it's for everyone, right?
It is.
So
it is.
Amazing. So excited to meet all these new individuals. This you helped us lock down our Endeavor venue. This new venue is going to be sick. The party's going to be amazing. We'll have a lot of media coming out over that for the next few weeks. But as far as people in the community, okay, you're a legend in this community. So I'm sure a lot of people may have heard of you, know you, but like, what would you say to them if they haven't experienced TRVFIT yet? Yeah. Maybe they made some adjustments on the outside that maybe it is that throwdown hardcore place too, right?
Right. It is funny because people know that we're down here, but some of them still don't know what we do. And I think until you really get in here, you don't understand what TRVFIT really is. And I think what we've done a really nice job of TRVFIT is really encompassing a lot of different forms of fitness. You have your strength, you've got your cardio, you got your boxing, we do yoga, we have bar here. We also have paired with a great physical therapist here because we know that there's like this transition that can happen after possibly an injury or surgery and people are nervous about getting back into working out. So having that relationship has been a huge foundation of bringing people in and just helping them, I love when I get people who have never worked out before, and it's like, well, don't, and I love this, and I'm sure you've heard it before, is I got to get fit before I can come in there. It's like, no, because that hasn't worked for you yet, right? You got to come in, and we'll help you, and you'll be coached, and someone is going to be watching you and telling you what to do. Like, that's really what you need.
Yeah.
But you just come on. You just got to come in for the first time, and we'll step you through it. We'll sit down with you, go over your goals and expectations, and then we'll help you with that path of it and introduce you to the coaches and a member and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Amazing. So bravest first step is just walking in the door,
It is.
Right?
I've actually had to walk out to a parking lot before and walk in with somebody because she was so nervous to come in for her first class. But that's what we're kind of willing to do. You kind of have to be willing to do that.
And acknowledge how normal that is.
Oh, yeah.
If someone's sitting there shaking in the car, that's really nerve-wracking.
100%.
Even us as fitness professionals, I'm sure you've experienced too, or walk into a new gym, I still get a little nerved up.
A little bit.
I do this, right?
I'm kind of,
You're an anomaly.
I'll just go in.
Anybody,
but
right?
You're right. I would say that there's only a handful of people that are really that comfortable to just kind of go right in and not know what to do. Most people have that hesitation. They might not know anybody here, or maybe they do have that one friend. It's hard. It's definitely the hardest step. But once you get in here, you're surrounded by a lot of people that care about you, not only coaches, but also members. They're going to introduce themselves. You're going to feel part of it. And people just want to come back, and that's the goal, right? We don't want to have like a one-off person. We want them to feel like this is part of my daily activity. And that's where we really strive to do.
Amazing. So something I just heard was a lot of different types of fitness. So obviously you mentioned our group sessions, different types of things like that. Do you have any other programs and stuff coming up or rolling out? Yeah,
so really we've really kind of had a great thing called Balance, where we have this membership that it's really kind of hitting people where they still are kind of a little bit intimidated by like our bigger class groups, like the staple classes that we offer. Our Balance is kind of like that balance between those and a little bit less high intensity. So they feel like they're not that we pressure anybody to do anything in our classes. We offer modifications. There's no judgment, and people do really feel very comfortable in any of our classes. But this Balance has been a really good stepping stone for a lot of people coming in, where they feel a little bit more like, oh, I've done that. And now they're actually kind of like putting their feet into like the other classes now. So it's almost like another stepping stone, which has been really nice. We do all a dance class because I got to have dance.
Let's go.
You know me.
Yep.
That's my heart.
Yep.
That's where I want to always be in. And then we also have like our youth perform camp. So I love working with athletes. Actually, with our previous conversation here, that's really where I started, was coaching back at the high school. And I love high school athletes. I love helping them get into the weight room, understanding what the weight room is, because in high school, you do the weight room, but that coach is coaching 40 kids, and they don't really know how to properly deadlift. How do you clean? And these are really important skills to master at a young age. Right. And if you don't do that right, over time, there's going to be injury that's going to happen. So I love working with athletes that really want to get better at the form, so that way they can really progress as a performance athlete. My own daughter's doing it. She's killing it right now. And just the kids that we've had here, I love to see more kids kind of join us for that, because there's a huge need for it in our community.
I love that. So is that coming up, or is that a program
it's always continuing. Yeah, you can always hop in. We do another consultation, sit down with the individual, see what they want to do, and the coaches really just kind of build a foundation or like their programming based on what their need is. But they get to work with other athletes too in that same space.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anything else going on? I know we got a sweat to get in here in a little bit, but
I know, right?
we can talk longer. We can procrastinate this, but no.
I think that covers a lot of what we're doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're always doing something new. Got to stay fresh, right?
Yeah. If you guys are in this area and you're listening, you haven't been in yet, you have an owner and a head coach at this location, and Fowlerville as well, that genuinely cares about this community and people first.
100%.
And I know that reflects the community that you built and everything you do here. So
yeah, and I can't say much. Our coaching staff is above anything. They are amazing. They really care about each and every member, which is awesome.
Amazing. So congratulations to you, respect for you and your team for everything you've done here, and let's get this sweat in.
All right.
Thanks, Jenn.
Let's go.
Come on, dude.
You just talk.